Welcome to another episode of State of the Wizards. This is episode 52. I'm your host, D Can, along with my co-host, K Jose, and we are the voices of the unheard. Tonight, we're joined by the host of Chocolate City Hoops podcast, DJ. DJ, welcome to the show, bro.
What's going on? How y'all
Not
boys
much,
feeling?
man. How you been, bro?
Hey, look, man, I'm good, man. We got another episode coming up actually this Friday. So I'm gonna let me explain. We're gonna film another episode. It may not drop till the next week, but we filming this Friday. So I don't know if we could top what we did with you boys. That was kind of special, but we gotta keep it pushing.
Right.
Nah, that was
Yeah.
fun though, man. We had fun. K Jose,
Yes.
what's up, man? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing better than the home team. I'll tell you that. Which we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Man, tell me about it. So tonight we're gonna discuss No Win November. And
Hmm.
how the last time we talked, we had no clue what last month had in store for us. When will our next win come? Or is it also no win December? Also, what has changed in Bilal's game over the last month? And what are your thoughts on Brian Keefe so far up to this point? Great show ahead coming up next on State of the Wizards. Before we get started, this is your first time tuning into the channel. Thank you. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I want to first take the time out to say thank you to SKV Design. They helped create the State of the Wizards banner using a photo taken by no other than our guy DJ. We were able to collab with Matt of SKV Design, and he put that work together and made it fire. Let's go ahead and just show some of our followers some of the work that he did for us. There you go. SKV Design Digital Portfolio can create YouTube thumbnails, social media designs, banners, jerseys, jersey concepts, and more. They can be found at SKV Design on XApp and IG. Their website is skvdesign.myportfolio.com. Appreciate them once again. And here is their website. All right. Every episode of State of Wizards going forward, we will plug in local businesses into our show from the beginning to the end, and we'll find a local business that may appeal to you. If you or someone you know who owns a local business, please let us know by simply DMing us on State of the Wiz at State of the Wiz XApp page or IG page. You can also email us at dcan2315@gmail.com or Kayin, Kayin 0406 at yahoo.com. All right, let's go ahead and get started. DJ, first question I got for you, brother. When we were on the Chocolate City Hoops podcast, our record was 2-2, coming off of impressive back-to-back wins versus Atlanta Hawks. No one said it at the time, but did you foresee the Wizards not winning one game after that? What you think?
Look, man. All right. No. In fact, the title of the last episode was Bilal, You're a Star, right? And our Wizard of the Month was what? Bilal. Look, I didn't think we were gonna see. Look, we knew we weren't gonna be good by design, but I didn't think we would be this bad, right? In the first couple of games, what we saw was effort, even in losses, right? And sometimes they say, a good loss, right, can happen at times for especially when you're rebuilding and you're young. But man, these losses are blowouts more than not. So yeah, I did not see this happening, and watching them start to become real hard. They really have a turnover problem. Um, I mean, once the ball gets rolling with them and they start creating those turnovers, it seems like a kind of like a slippery slope, a downhill effect, and doesn't seem like they can stop it. And then they may try to get back into it, but yeah, man, that's really the cause of no win November.
Okay, Jose, what you got, man?
I didn't expect that either. I didn't think that we would not have any wins in November, I guess they didn't have nothing to be thankful for last month. Guess they were just thankful that those checks cleared, because they damn sure weren't clear no wins on that damn court. I'll tell you that.
Right.
I wasn't expecting Bilal to drop the way he did. We were just praising him last month, and this month we're now having questions like, well, what's changed? Like, what happened? What happened to the aggressiveness? Like, we're not seeing that.
Right.
Defensively, that hasn't dropped off, but his offensive game has dropped off. So, we, to DJ's point, we were bad, but we're like horrific. And
No, absolutely. We're bad. But go ahead.
oh yeah, I mean, I don't even. I got to figure out another synonym, because bad is actually an understatement. We're disrespectful bad, disrespectfully bad.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, last time we talked, excuse me, last time we talked about it, we was 2-2. We were coming off I think we won 2 straight against the Hawks, right?
Yeah.
So, we were optimistic, maybe way too optimistic. DJ, I know for a fact, if I had told you after that win going into November, if I had told you we would lose every game in November at that point, would you believe me, bro?
No, and to be honest, we'd have had a little bit more to drink on that show if that was the case. Like, if y'all, let's say like this, let's put it this way: if y'all didn't come October and y'all were coming in November and right after all these losses, we wouldn't have nothing left to drink.
Right.
This wouldn't even be none left.
Right.
No, seriously, bro. Like, I feel like if I would have said that, y'all would have thought I was drunk already. Like, if I was like, yeah, bro, we never gonna win another game after we just came off of a 2-game win streak against Atlanta, y'all would be like, bro, put the glass down, bro. We are better than that. But no, we were actually worse than what we initially projected this team to be. In fact, I would say, we're so bad. Looking at the rankings, like, once again, we're losing by 16 points. We're losing by 16 points a game. Teams are scoring over 122 points against us every game. We're giving up 122, 123 points. And then we're turning around and we're only scoring 107 points.
Yeah.
So, it's not only that we can't stop anybody, but we can't even score either. Like, that's double the issue. I mean, that's we didn't expect to be this bad. We expected to be this bad defensively, but DJ, correct me if I'm wrong. We didn't expect to be this bad offensively, bro.
No, we didn't expect to be this bad offensively. And again, right, just kind of earlier what I said, it's the regression of the offense and the lack of defense, which is really kind of crazy, because coming in, the whole thing was effort, especially on the defensive end. And we have not seen that on a consistent basis. You may see it shine through maybe in one game and they still lose. And, those are the games that, it's like, hey, you lost, but you fought, right? And this losing streak, it wouldn't even feel so bad if Bilal was still on a tear. It wouldn't feel so bad if, we were only losing by at least no more than 10 or 15, but we get blown up by 20. Right?
Exactly.
So, like, at least it'll feel a little bit better, because that, all right, this is it's a young squad. Even the vets outside of what was your name for Kuz? What's the nickname?
Bulletproof.
Outside of Bulletproof, right? Even you got some young vets, right? So, but we're not seeing any of that. Offensively, it's a struggle. Tons of turnovers. Defensively, struggle both there too. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, going into the next question, when will the Wizards' next win come? Or is it no win December as well? What you think?
I'll tell you this right now. If it is no win December, you, me, KOZ, we filming another pod, and we gonna be moving some furniture and hash some stuff out, because this thing, I'll tell you right now, that's gonna be a struggle. No, but all seriousness, I kind of looking at what's coming up in December. Look, man, I don't know, right? Because we just lost to the Cavs. We got the Mavs coming up. You got Denver, right? It's a West Coast and a powerhouse swing. Your only chance here, right, may be the Hornets on the 19th and the 26th of December. I don't know. Maybe the Hornets feel like giving us an early Christmas present. I don't know. What do you think, Jose?
I'm thinking the same thing. Maybe the Hornets, but we had a no-win November. We might be looking at a no-win December. Man, I just don't know. Even with the Hornets, they're not good, but we're bad. So we can't even guarantee if we play against a bad team or a team that's not really that good that we can win, because I don't really see. We may luck up and have our third win or maybe our fourth win this month. Maybe.
Do you think we catch a team off guard though at all? Like maybe there's a team that you think for December we just catch off guard.
Even when teams are playing off guard, we still lose. So what difference does it make? We still lose when we catch them off guard. That's what make them start playing. They say, "Oh, wait a minute,
that's true.
We're playing. Oh, hold up! You just punched me in the mouth. Oh, wait a minute, let me whoop this dude's ass." We catch these teams off guard and they turn it on. You wasn't on the pod. I set it up with Brandon Scott. For these teams, every game I'm just say, wear a rubber. That's it. That's all I'm saying. For the rest of the month, every team that we're playing against, please wear a rubber, because the rest of the teams have been raping us.
No, man. I just have to look at it. You know, I don't know if this was part of the plan or not. It's hard for me to really feel like this was something Will Dawkins wanted. I think we wanted to lose, but we also wanted to be competitive. I think we wanted to lose, like DJ said, by 5, 6, maybe even 7, and be okay with it. But I actually think that we actually have multiple problems and issues on our hands, man. I think that, you know, you got Gilbert Arenas out here saying we don't have a star on the team. You know, you got some people out there. He's
not lying about that part.
Well, yeah. I mean, right now it's tough to see who that player is going to be. We thought it would be Bilal, which we'll touch on here shortly. You know, but my thing is I don't know if this is what Will Dawkins and company really foresaw. Like, I think that they thought someone out of the young bunch would at least step up in a much bigger capacity. Of course, Sar's a rookie. Of course, Keyshawn and Bub, you know, they're going to have their learning curves. Bilal's in his second year. He should be taking that leap. He should be taking that jump. And I think that's what the expectation was that Bilal should be at a much higher jump than where he's at right now, because he regressed over the last month. So I guess what I'm saying is like, you know, do they pivot anywhere with, you know, how the dynamics are within the makeup of the team when it pertains to the young guys? Or do you just stay this course and just hope that, you know, they can eventually, I guess by season's end, show that they really have some vast improvement? What do you think, DJ, on that?
Yeah, like it's funny you say that, because just thinking it through, right? Like let's take those first 4 games, right? Let's take those first games that we were talking about earlier. Even we knew they were going to get ran by the Celtics. Like, I don't think the projected worst team in the league for this season, home openers against the defending champs. Nobody thought, but guess what? They came out and I'd say like maybe the first quarter, hey, those young boys, they said they punched them in the mouth. Like, there's no better litmus test than let's go up against the champs. They did that.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
And then I don't remember who they played the second game, but then that was
the Cavs.
The Cavs, right?
That was the game I remember.
Yeah. I don't think anybody. Well, Sarr did pretty good against who was the cat I'm thinking about? Mobley. He did pretty good, right? So you're seeing flashes. Basically, the first 4, and then beating Atlanta twice in a row. That's not easy for a young team that ain't projected to go nowhere. Those first 4 games, I remember telling myself that I can watch all 82 games if they look like this. I don't care if we lose, right? And
Yep.
I know some people hope we lose, right? I'm just saying those were good games to watch. All I care about is watching effort and care about watching growth in them young boys, which kind of, to my point, kind of has me starting to think that I wonder what's going to happen when we get, we're already in the season, right? Cruz is talking about, bulletproof, right? Already these trade rumors, who knows what we're going to get, January, February. Let's see how many of these vets are still on the team. And then when they're gone, is there going to be like more of a push from Bilal, so to speak? Like he's not the third option. He's not, maybe there's more, active coaching to say to him, like, hey, be aggressive, right? This is basically like this is now the scoring load and being a leader on this team. This ball's on you, right? So who knows?
Yeah, that's a great point. Maybe the shift of focus is more, I guess, is what you're saying, is more on the improvement of some of these young players and Bilal's game. K Jose, did you want to add anything to DJ's point?
Yeah, everything he said, I agree. Just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, I think the organization did not expect Bilal to drop the way he has. If anything, I think that's the biggest concern, is that nobody was expecting him to drop. First of all, nobody expected him to start off hot the way he did, but nobody was expecting him to drop off like he is right now. So I don't know if, because we're showcasing some of these veterans, that could be the issue. I'm not too sure. I mean, again, I said that this team lacks a disciplinarian coach. We need a coach that's going to actually hold these guys accountable. I also said that the young guys look at it like, hey, man, I'm here until my rookie contract expires. Whereas, Bulletproof and all these guys, they're going to be moved. Like some of these guys probably won't be here within the next month or so. We will be having a whole totally different conversation. By the time we end this, maybe one of the vets are moved right after we end this. So we just don't know. But the pivot that I'm expecting is when the vets are gone, then the focus goes on the young guys. The pivot that I don't want is similar to what we saw during the John Wall era, where, okay, maybe building through the draft is not working, so let's go out here and get some of these vets that's probably on the tail end of their career and try to be competitive. I don't want to see that.
Well,
I don't think that's this front office at all.
Yeah,
I don't think that's that thing.
I was just about to say that. Like, I don't think that Will Dawkins and company feels that way at all. Like, I think, right, in fact, it's completely opposite. I think that they're going to allow these young guys to play into who they believe that they can play into as long as they can. And then if it gets to a point where you're like, okay, well, we've exhausted, other developmental options for this said player, then sure, we'll include them in the package in the future. But, there's certain guys that we still have to talk about that still hasn't improved, that are still on the roster. Johnny Davis is one. Corey Kispert has struggled this year. Man, Anthony Gill. Like, there's guys that are taking up roster spots right now, man, that aren't contributing at all. Like, they're just taking up roster spots. You got to address some of those problems first before you can even talk about, getting rid of anybody like Keyshawn or Bub or Bilal in the future. Like, I don't even think that's even on their radar.
No. Those are the Tommy guys you're talking about. Yeah. So those Tommy guys are going to get moved. And when you mentioned Anthony Gill, I was like, I hope he didn't put Anthony Gill and the word development in the same sentence. I said, what is he going to be developing? But film? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
he's gonna be a politician. I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark my word, Anthony Gill gonna be somewhere in the Senate in the next 5 to 10 years.
But you're right. Yeah, get rid of the Tommy guys, and then we can focus on the future. Right now, the Tommy guys are standing in the way, and they're taking up roster spots. So I agree with that.
So I'm just looking at the roster real quick, just to kind of go over that. Excuse me. Jared Butler has been okay this season, right? But I don't know if he's somebody that you address, or you look into flipping at the trade deadline, maybe package him. If Kuz goes, does somebody like Butler go with him? I know they've been trying to shop Johnny Davis. I know they've been trying to shop Patrick Baldwin Jr. You know, people forget we still have why can't I think of his name right now? He's on the he's injured right now.
Vuk.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Vuk.
No, not well, him too. Like I think he's another one that you'd have to think about what is the Wizards gonna do when it comes down to Vuk. Rashawn Holmes is still on the roster. You know, people forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Bagley the third. You know, we got to address some of these roster spots that aren't contributing in no way, shape, or form. Like these guys they're barely getting off the bench, man, but they're dressing up every night. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Some of these other roster spots have to be addressed before we can even talk about, you know, where we're gonna go in the future. You know,
Right.
obviously we know that Kuz is being shopped. We know that Valanciunas is being shot. Malcolm Brogdon, 10 times out of 10 is going to be moved as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking at some of these other roster spots, man, and I'm like, you know, what does the organization do with those spots? That's kind of where I'm at.
So when you mentioned Jared Butler, I mean, he's a guy that they could cut and it probably won't even hurt the salary cap. I know he's not making that much money, but when you talk about PBJ, jersey number 1, I don't say his name. Anthony Gill, those guys. I know DJ got that little, but you know, Anthony Gill, a lot of those guys, they're just going to be packed. They're going to just be fillers in a package.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that we can move really are Malcolm Brogdon, Valanciunas, and we got to find out what the package, what is the offer for Bulletproof? Has Will Dawkins decided to come down on his asking price? Because you're seeing,
he has a choice.
I mean, yeah, because what's the dude's name? Dorian
Finney Smith.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you see what's going on with him. You know, his asking price is pretty high. Not a lot of teams is really inquiring about him. So I think so we're trying to shop Kuz, like just take whatever the hell you can get for the guy at this point. Like, why prolong the inevitable?
Yeah, who I was trying to think of was Sadiq Bey, but
right.
Sadiq Bey.
Yeah.
You know, Sadiq though, that's because he's out for the whole season. He ain't playing until next year. So I don't know if he'll, you know, if he's going to command. Maybe he's a filler, but by himself, I don't know what you're going to get for him since he's not playing this year. Now, if he was healthy though, he's somebody, you know, you could flip for a good asking price. But this year, probably not.
Right. And hopefully, you know, Dawkins feels like he can fit the plans. I don't know. I don't know what where he would fit in our future. But that brings me to my next question, DJ. What has changed in Bilal's game over the last month, you think?
Just aggressiveness, right? I mean, whatever he learned over the summer, he definitely was, you know, trying to showcase that in the first couple of games, right? And we saw that working. Could be good teams just adjusting to him and figuring out his game, right, from what he learned. But mostly, I just think it's the aggressiveness. I'm not seeing him being as aggressive as those first couple of, you know, really that first month. And yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's almost a simple. I take that back. When Kuz was out, he was definitely more aggressive. When Kuz came back, that's when we saw. That's when the dip started, right? That's when it kind of started taking off, and even when Kuz, there was a couple games when Kuz was hurt again. Or is Kuz still out, or did he? Let me see.
I think he was out last game. I'm not sure if he's out next game or not. But yeah, he's been out recently.
He's been out. Yeah.
It's almost like it's like a lasting effect, like since he came back, and he just hasn't been as aggressive anymore. So
yeah. He probably got that magic from Space Jam, Monstars. It just took Bilal's game with him. So even with him being injured, he just taking it with him too.
Gone. It took it all.
Just took all of it. I mean, Bilal's defense is still on point, but it's like now he's just it's just like the aggressiveness is just missing. Like it's like it was just stripped from him. He's almost kind of timid to do some of the things he was doing in the beginning, and I'm like, something is just not clicking, man. And it's not just him. I mean, Keyshawn, you seeing that with him. Bub, you seeing it a little bit with him. Sar, you seeing that with him. So what we were expecting was the young guys to develop, and right now we're not seeing that. And I'm seeing Malcolm Brogdon playing like something. Poole actually been playing pretty solid this season, so I can't complain about it. Valanciunas has been doing his job, but I'm like, with the young guys kind of told to scale back a little bit. So let these vets advertise themselves. I mean, I'm just, that's the part that I'm trying to figure out. Like, what's going on?
I'll say this, like, you're right about Poole. Malcolm, by the way, I got a good story. I actually met Malcolm Brogdon randomly at an airport, like maybe about a month ago.
You meeting these players at the airport, man. What's up with
that? Hey man, look, I don't know. Like we was at the airport. We went up to the MX lounge, and all of a sudden, I saw somebody tall walk past me. I'm like, hey, if you tall at the airport, you must be somebody. I looked. I was like, I know that ain't Malcolm Brogdon. Man, I shook his hand. I was like, hey man, welcome to the WID. But like, point is though, like, yeah, he's a cool dude. He's just real chill. But I mean, you've seen it in different places. He has this kind of like maturity about him. Like he ain't. I mean, he ain't that much. I mean, he ain't that old, right? Was he like in his 30s? What's he like? Yeah, he's like 32.
Yeah, 32,
yeah. So, but he's got this real maturity about him, and I really like his command on the court at time. Now, those first couple games getting back, I mean, look, he's been out with a wrist injury. It wasn't going to be that good, but I mean, just kind of having that calmness, he brings a different aspect to the game with when he was playing with the second unit, sometimes the first now. So I do like what he's been doing. And that's, he needs to be traded, but that's the type of vet that you kind of know in the back of your mind. If he ain't looking for something, or you can't get anything for him, like I wouldn't be mad if he stuck around. To be honest, just to help mentor those young kids, because he ain't, like I said, if he ain't looking for no championship, and he's, he wants to be here, why not? He's 32. He ain't playing for that much longer anyway. So
right, I don't disagree with that.
That's a good point. I think you do raise a good point, because we still need veteran leadership in that locker room. But I had posed kind of a question, excuse me, to K Jose last episode that if once Kuz and once Valanciunas and Brogdon leave, I think the question is who's going to be the young leader of the squad, and I don't know who that player is going to be. I want to say it would be Bilal, but maybe Bilal is maybe Bilal needs to work on that part of his game, being more of a vocal leader. I do see that sometimes these guys take back seats, and I don't see that. I don't see that fire. I don't see that passion. Like I want to see more. I want to see more yelling on the court. I want to see somebody getting up after a foul and hitting their chest. You know what I'm saying? I want to see that out of, not just, I see that from Bub, right? You see that from Bub.
I was gonna say him. Yep.
Right. I see that from Bub, but I don't know. Is that who we're looking at this point? Do you think to lead the young guys?
I think if he doesn't get traded, I think it should be Poole. And the reason why I say Poole is because he's another one where he's a vet, but he's a young vet. You know what I'm saying? Like he's still young in the game, and I think it's different from Kuz, because he came from a championship team when he was like, when did he win that championship on the Warriors? He was like 21, 22. Like so young, right? So, and he got to see Curry, he got to see Clay. I mean, he got to see the end of Draymond's fist, but he got to see him, right? But again, for better or for worse, was part of a super close-knit group, veteran presence, but he had some growing to do as well, right? We know last year it didn't look that great, right? From the leadership or the playing. This year, right, over the summer, he got to it, right? Was working out with Bilal, working out with Sar, right? Him and Bilal, real good buddies, right? Like, I don't know from the raw standpoint if that's Poole. I definitely think that'll be Bub from that standpoint. But I will say, give credit is due. I do like what we're seeing from Poole from the leadership standpoint this year, and his playing.
Yep, I agree. What you think, Jose? You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Poole, I don't have any complaints. Like, he really wants to get better. You can tell. I can also tell he's been in the gym. Like, he took the off-season serious. He heard the criticism and he came prepared. We didn't see that with Bulletproof. There's rumors flying around that he's out of shape. Rumors flying around that he's disgruntled. You can kind of see it on the court. And I don't really have a problem with, like what DJ said, when it come down to Malcolm Brogdon. He's a solid vet. I'm watching him, and it reminds me when we had Andre Miller, because I'm watching him play, and a lot of his game reminds me so much of Andre Miller as
Just
I'm
like
watching
Andre
him.
Miller. Yeah.
It's just like it. I mean, the way he runs, the way he drives to the basket, it's just like it. The dude, he's so cool how the way he goes about it. I'm expecting when he goes sit on the bench, he grab a saxophone and start blowing some notes or something. But he just, but you do need some type of stability from a veteran, and I think he wouldn't be bad along with Poole. But when you talk about a young guy, I don't think that player is on this team yet. And that's the reason why I'm kind of heavy on a guy like Ace Bailey. As I watched BYU last night and I saw that kid, Igor Denham, I did see him kind of rallying up his teammates. So I think that young guy who is going to be that rah-rah, that attitude, it's not on this team yet. But that particular player, when you get him, it can help out those young guys.
You want to talk about somebody next year, I tell you right now, who can command the team and the offense. And I know it's going to surprise people, but that boy Dylan Harper, I like a lot. This ain't that podcast to be talking about draft picks, but shit,
right?
14 game losing streak, no win November. We might as well get a head start. Look, that boy Dylan Harper. Hey, look, I know we got a point guard, and we got a couple. I'm just saying.
I thought about plugging in that question this episode, but man, we've been talking about it like the last 3 episodes. I was like, I don't know if we want to talk about it.
What else do we got to talk about?
I mean, that's true. That's true. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we can talk about any damn thing. It ain't nothing to talk about when it pertains to the team, because the team ain't doing shit. But
really, we can sit there and talk about families for all we care. I mean, shit. What's happening on the damn basketball court?
Right. Well,
look, I tell you right now, the Thanksgiving table was more interesting than basketball. That's for damn sure.
I'm sure it was,
that's the truth, bro.
I'm sure it was. Probably standing in a long line at the DMV was more interesting than the damn games.
Probably was.
Just going back real quick to Bilal, man. I just, I go back to the convo that we had a month ago, right? This man was averaging 18.8, 5 and 2 on 59% shooting. So the whole month of October, well, his first game he only scored 8, but he was cooking, bro. Going into that game against Miami, I think we did the pod on a Friday night. They played Miami that Saturday night, and we lost by like 20. He still scored 22 in that game. Right. And then after that, he hadn't scored another 20-point game. He only had one 20-point game since. The last 20-point game was November 10th.
Damn.
He scored 15 against Detroit, and he scored 17 against Indiana. And he had an average last month of 11 points, about 10.8 points on 44% shooting. So just to reiterate the major difference in this game, you went from 18.8 4 games through October, and then right after we had that conversation, your game went down to 10.8 points per game the entire month of November. I think that's the biggest highlight so far for me personally of why there's been more of a struggle. If you get the 18 points per game Bilal that you got in October and November, we probably come away with 2 or 3 of those wins. We still lose. We still have a losing November, but because Bilal was playing 30 plus minutes and only scoring 8 points, 3 points, 4 points, I think that you got to point those things out, man.
Yeah, and you got to believe that's a coaching point, right? There's no way that inside, that locker room, inside that coach, that the coaches in the organization, that they haven't noticed that. I just want to believe there's some sort of method to the madness right now, right? I think
Yep.
they, I'll take it from my boy Damo, right? He said by design they're losing, right? And I'm thinking this is one hell of a design because they really losing. They losing by a lot, right? I mean, so let's revisit this conversation again too, right after the trade deadline and see who's on the roster and see if we're going to start seeing some sort of spark at the end of the year. Not necessarily as far as winning games and stuff, winning games, but maybe it's a 2-game, maybe a 3-game win streak just randomly, and we see these young boys really flying out the gate.
Good point, man. And yeah, because you know what? These takes that they either age well or they spoiling like rotten milk out here right now. Because
hey, look, you had me thinking because I was like, damn, the common denominator is we was all talking the last time Homeboy was on a high, then he regressed. I'm thinking like, damn, so we talking about him again? Is he gonna regress again? Because look, if that's the case, we I ain't trying to have nobody come for us.
Right.
It was like, but you said back in
Yeah. That's why he said after the deadline. That's February.
Yeah, that's
so
what
I get it.
We're gonna wait till after that deadline to have this conversation again to see, what are they gonna be possibly looking like, or what do we, want them to look like.
Right.
So we got a little time before we touch on this last topic. Who do you like in the draft, man? Who I know you said Dylan Harper, but is that your number one right now?
Let me tell you, man, because like I had the same conversation on my the episode with Damo, and like, man, like he was telling me about Ace Bailey, and I knew about Ace, right? I mean, everybody knows about Ace. It's Cooper or Ace, right? And I look, maybe it's just me high on the highlights, but hey, man, Flag was like, that's who I was looking. I was like, look, if he's there at number one, you take him. And getting tagged in some of these highlights on Wiz Twitter, seeing Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, what was his name? Igor. I can't even pronounce
Igor
his name.
Demon.
Yeah, Igor Demon.
Him. Yeah, and automatically I'm thinking like, it don't matter. We get a top 4 pick, you cannot lose, especially when you're just a rebuilding team that's just looking for a piece. I think, especially those top, I think tier 1 to me right now, from what I've seen, right, you still have Flag, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, right? I think those 3, any one of those 3 can become a star on their team. That's how I feel. Just from, again, timestamp this with December 4th right now. If there's another game in 6 months from now when we having this conversation, I'm just saying right now that's tier 1. Then tiered like that tier 2 is Igor, maybe VJ Edgecombe and those cats. Trey Johnson's been playing good, but again, like I think those top 3 for sure. Flag, Bailey, Harper, you get a top 3 pick, you can't go wrong. And I don't think this organization is like that, but I'm just saying this because of PTSD from our previous organization leadership. Like, just take the easy pick, figure it out later, because at the end of the day, these boys are going to be good.
I would agree with everything you just said. I think that I think at the end of the day, it's those 3 guys and those 3 guys only, unless unless they have a surprisingly down second half. Like, at least if they don't come through in the second half of their season, K Jose always points out the tournament being something that people look at as well. People like to wait for that period of time to see what some of these other young guys are going to do. And then the mock draft is definitely going to change, and I think that it's okay to say that those 3 right now are solidified at the top, and then everything else below that may change from 4 to maybe 12, 4 to 10, whatever. But I'm right there with you. K Jose, what you want to add?
Yeah, I'm right there as well. What's funny is a month ago on DJ's pod, I said there's a possibility that Dylan Harper could leapfrog Ace Bailey, and we saw a mock draft yesterday where they had Dylan Harper at 2 and Ace Bailey at 3. So
Mhm.
so
So
at least
your
that
take
age
ain't
well.
your takes aren't aging like spoiled milk, is what you're saying.
Well, that particular take didn't age like spoiled milk, so I
Ah,
can't say that. But
you
now
said
you
that,
never.
yeah, your takes is some shit right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hey, look, I may have to go through. Look, for all y'all that don't know, I edit my videos. I may have to find something on K Jose. I might have to put out a blooper reel. Yeah, I said it right. I'm gonna find something.
Exactly. Find something, put it out there. I'm with it.
Yeah, I just look at it that for us, again, we don't have our franchise player. I can say this, and this is not going to age. This is not going to age like milk. We've already locked the top 5 pick. Okay, you the worst team in the NBA. You got the fifth. You top 5 at best. Now, where you falling at in the top 5 is a totally different story because I think 1 through 3, I think the percentage to get the number 1 pick is like 14%.
Yeah,
So
it's a little lower. Yeah.
yeah, it's
I
lower.
think I think if you're locked into the top 3, you can't go lower than a certain number 2. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure I've heard that somewhere before. So you could be right, but that just man, you never know how us man in the lottery, bro.
I mean, look what we saw last year. You had Atlanta that was a playing team. They got the number 1 pick. So you never know. You never know. I mean, we got Philadelphia still hovering around. That's not good. So they're a big market team. I don't have us getting a number 1 pick. I'm going to stick with that. I think that's probably going to go to Brooklyn or Utah. And I think we're going to fall somewhere between 2 and 3. I know some people say, well, we're not going to get the second pick again. Well, Philadelphia had got the number 1 pick 2 years in a row. They drafted Ben Simmons and they drafted Markelle Fultz. So anything is possible. And we had got the number 3 pick twice in the 2010s, which was Bill and Otto Porter. We're not good. So I just think that if Dylan Harper is going to go 2, depending on what that situation is, then we're good. That means Ace Bailey will fall to 3 if we're picking 3.
Yeah, you know what? You bring up an interesting point because I was kind of looking again, right? I get my information from Tankathon, but like I was looking at kind of like their mock draft order they got now. Obviously, without Simmons with the lottery, looks like this guy's taking. It's still got Cooper Flag at number 1. But you guys remember that? I think it was 2022 that draft when all year it was Jabari Smith. Remember that?
Yeah, I
Like it
remember
was
that.
like he's number 1, he's number 1, he's number 1. Chet's number 2, and then Pablo was like 3 or even in some mocks like all the way down to 5. All of a
Right.
sudden, up to the umpteenth hour, all of a sudden you start hearing these reports that Orlando doesn't like Jabari Smith, may take somebody else, may take Chet. All of a sudden, Pablo, boom, number 1. And I remember like that was a big shocker. Like nobody
Yeah, it was.
saw that coming. So, and
Uh-huh.
this kind of feels like it's that even though there's a lot of good players, it feels like this could be that draft where somebody sneaks up, right? And but again, for the Wizards, who cares who sneaks up, who sneaks down? Because I tell you who didn't care during that 22 draft, it wasn't OKC. They said it don't matter. We taking if Chet goes number 1, we gonna take Pablo.
That's
If
DK's
Pablo or
point.
Jabari go, it's going. That's they didn't care. So if I'm the Wiz in this upcoming draft, don't care. You can't go wrong with either one of those 3 that we talked about.
I think what you said was vitally important actually, because Will Dawkins, he knows what he wants. When he wants it, he either trades up for it or he trades a player for it. We seen that this past draft when he traded Denny away and we got that 14th pick and we got Bub. He made that move because he wanted Bub. You see, we traded the Knicks. We traded that pick with the Knicks because he wanted Keyshawn. You see how we traded up for Bilal. We traded with Indiana to get Bilal. And then when he was in OKC, he told Chet's agent, Bill Duffy, that he wanted Chet. And so Chet left the Orlando workout early and they ended up selecting Chet at 2, knowing that Orlando was sitting at 1. Also, well, how can we forget? Alex Sarr didn't work out for Atlanta either. And Will Dawkins said, hey, my guy's Alex Sarr. If we got 1, we would have selected Alex Sarr. We got Alex Sarr to skip the workout in Atlanta so we could draft him. So so Will Dawkins, that's his whole thing. We don't know who he likes. We don't know who he wants. We say that we're good 1 through 3, but does he feel like that? You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of where we are with that. So, but let's move on real quick. The last topic that I have for you, DJ. Man, this show's moving right along, bro. What are your thoughts,
bro?
Huh?
So what happens when you having fun, bro?
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, it flies. No joke. What are your thoughts on Brian Keefe so far up to this point of the season, bro?
If I were to give a grade, it's just incomplete, right? Just because at the end of the day, I didn't really have any expectations from him, if I'm being completely honest, outside of just watching the kids grow. And, that takes more than just, the first 2 months of the season, right? It's step by step. It's growth. Growth is a progress, right? Or sorry, growth is a process. And, you're going to have these down moments. Again, I think and we also forget, right? This is his first year being a coach as well. So, like, he's got some growing to do. It's a major difference being, an assistant coach where you only get to focus on this one thing, or your main focus is growth and development on certain aspects. But now you're a full-fledged coach. You got mad other responsibilities that you're responsible for at this point in time. So, just not to forget that this is new for him too. So I just want to see him continue to lean into his strengths, right? And then try to grow some other areas of his coaching, right? Especially, kind of like game time situations, that coaches need to know and understand. Definitely needs to work on that. And outside of the growth and development, right? How can you get your team to, like, get them fired up? Or how can you empower one of your vets to say, like, hey, like, this is your team right now. Fire these young boys up. One of my pet peeves, and I'm gonna be going back to West, which we did find him. We found out where Russ was. I'm sorry, not Russ, West. We found out where West was. He's over there hiding in Chicago's bench. One of the biggest things that I didn't enjoy with him was that he never got a tech. And I don't trust a coach that can't ever get a tech because he don't get fired up, right? And so with West, like, I was like, you're too calm. Like, you're not flaring up or getting anybody excited, because it's like, if the ref did something that's a little suspect, then, hey man, get up in their face, like, get yourself a tech. I want to see Keith do the same thing. That's kind of like my personal opinion. I like to see my head coaches kind of have that fire in them too.
Yeah. K Jose, do you feel the same way? Do you share those sentiments?
Yeah, I agree with DJ. He did make a good point as far as you want your head coach to get a tech, and I don't recall West getting one, and I don't think Keith has gotten one yet. When I was looking at the game last night and we were getting blown out, and he called a timeout, and I think it was Drew Gooden said, he was either Drew Gooden or maybe it was Chris Miller said, oh, Keith is fired up. I'm looking at him and I'm like, I don't see him upset. Doesn't look like he upset to me. What are you looking at? Was he upset because he didn't get nachos and instead he got chicken nuggets? Like, what was he mad about? So, as I said in the last episode, what I'm expecting is, what this team needs, especially when you got a bunch of young guys, you need to be a disciplinarian. You need to teach them the good habits and not the bad habits. When you think about a Greg Popovich, he's going through a rebuild as well, but he's a guy that's going to command the respect and control in the locker room. And I was thinking about this earlier today. I said, maybe this team needs a coach that has a military background or something, some type of leadership where they can come in and they can command respect in that locker room. And I really wish I remember this guy's name that I ran into at Andrews Air Force Base, who plays basketball. That was one of the things he said, like, hey, if you out there playing like shit, I'm not going to pass the ball to you. That's what this team needs. You need a player that's going to take that mentality, but you need a coach that's going to take that mentality. And I just don't see that in Keith. I didn't see it in Wes. I didn't see it in Scott Brooks. It was Randy Whitman that I saw it. But if you think about a lot of the coaches that we've had, they never was willing to get a tech at all. We've always had these conservative type coaches. And I get it. It's DC. It's all about politics. But come on, this is a basketball town, man. Like, leave the political shit at the door. You're playing basketball. You got to be aggressive. This area develops basketball players. We don't need choir boys, and we damn sure don't need no priest as a coach. Give me a damn drill sergeant, please.
You know, man, what something you said, it really I gotta bring up my Eagles, man. I gotta bring up my Eagles, man, because you know, yeah, DJ, we could talk some Eagles real quick if you yeah.
Hey, I'm here.
Just
hey,
real brief.
KOJ, leave the room.
I have to. My team is losing too, so I have to leave the room on that note.
But I'm gonna equate something real quick. You said the coach and your like your star player, your leader, they have to be in sync with one another, right? So it was said last year that, you know, Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, they weren't really seeing eye to eye, you know, and you know, we know Nick Sirianni to be this fired up head coach, but we know Jalen Hurts to kind of be this laid back, you know, Nick, chill, you know, you over the top right now. But this season, you're kind of seeing them more in sync with each other. You know, you're not really seeing them at each other's, you know, throats. You're not really seeing, you know, them, you know, say one thing. They're not really contradicting each other. Let's put it that way. I say that to say with the Wizards, you're absolutely right, man. I think that's always been the Wizards' issue. You got a head coach who kind of seems like he's more like, you know, if he's edgy, like a Randy Whitman, then, you know, a John Wall who's also edgy has to match that. That's why that success was there. You know, when you bring in, you know, after the fact, Wes Unseld Jr. Wait, I'm missing somebody.
Scott
Who am I
Brooks.
missing? Scott Brooks. Scott Brooks comes in, right? Yeah, he was a little edgy, but he wasn't like Randy Whitman. He wasn't a disciplinarian like Randy Whitman was, right? So Bradley Beal was able to get away with murder out there.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Bradley Beal could be punching somebody on the court. Scott Brooks wouldn't do shit.
Right.
Nah, in fact, there was remember those times like Scott Brooks and John Wall got into so many different arguments.
Exactly.
Like during practice, off the court, it was bad. Like he wasn't good at handling those personalities, which is kind of crazy because like now that I think about it, I don't think he did a good. He didn't do that good job with KD and Russ either when they was kind of going through that little spout too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But
so,
you know, like that it like you're right though. Like after Randy, and then even before Randy, Eddie Jordan, I thought was, you know, pretty good too, because he didn't do the best with Gil, but he would try to get into Gil a little bit, but he didn't do the best. Eddie,
at K Jose face. Look at K Jose.
I look.
Hold up. I'd have to disagree with you on that. If he was a good disciplinarian, Gilbert would have never brought guns in the locker room.
But look. That's why I stopped myself. I said he ain't do a good job with Gil. But to be honest,
or Javarius Cringe.
I don't. All right, well, we talking about our stars. I don't think he did. First of all, Gil's Gil, and I ain't gonna hold you. I don't know who would have stopped Gil from being Gil, but I agree he didn't do that good job with Gil. But I guess the point I'm trying to make though is that kind of old school coaching mentality, you know, after Randy and it just like Scott Brooks was kind of like that new age players coach during that time, came in and we just have never gone back to that gritty, you know, type of head coach that's like, you know what, you young boys, but you know, I'm basically like a college coach. Like, you know, we're gonna come and you're gonna do things my way, and we're gonna make sure that you do them right. Because if you don't, it's gonna be some disciplinary action.
Nah, you're right.
I mean, you need that. I mean, look at the new wave of coaches that are disciplinarians. You got Missoula for Boston. You got Ime down there in Houston, and you still got Greg Popovich. And Chauncey Billups is somewhat of a disciplinarian. Now, I know I make jokes about Ime. I tell a player, hey, hide your wife. That's all I'm saying. Hide your wife. That's it. Don't bring your woman around Ime, because you already know what happened in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't give that woman the tea party, but he definitely gave her the pee party. But my whole but my point is that one thing I can say,
Man, did DJ leave?
Hey, man.
I'm just,
hold on,
but
man. See, I thought I was prepared for this, man. I was not.
Man, this is what we do in State of the Wizards, my brother.
I know y'all brought that. I'm gonna need y'all to bring that again. We're gonna get y'all boys back on there again.
Oh, we're gonna bring it. Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, Ime Udoka is a disciplinarian coach. So that's what this team needs that. So you need to get yourself a coach. Again, I said we don't need a priest as a coach. We've done that already, and we don't win any championships. I mean, just get me a coach that's gonna really, really, really hold the players accountable. We was told that when it came down to West, I want buy-in. We didn't see any buy-in. We saw more players checking out. We're seeing that now. I'm starting to see that with Brian Keefe. He's not commanding any respect. I'm not seeing any buy-in from some of the players. I'm not really seeing him develop anything, because if he was developing players, we wouldn't be having this conversation about the drop-off of Bilal. Mm-hmm. So if anything, he's developing bad habits for these young guys, and that's a concern.
Yeah, so I'll go back quickly. I agree with what you're saying, and my only caveat to that is, right, it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, which is that let's see what happens. Just like how we're saying year 2 for Bilal, like I think next year is going to tell us a lot. I know we're kind of already going down, far, but you get one of these picks, right? Then you see year 3 of Bilal. Most of these vets are gone. Year 2 of our top 3 picks, right? Sar, Bub, KG, right? And then year 2 of him after he's gotten his first, Brian Keefe getting his first year of coaching under him. And it's like, what have you learned? What are you going to take in? Are you going to actually show that? I'm telling you, next year, that's going to be what is this team really going to be building? Right. And also, too, the front office now it's the third full year for them. Yeah,
the third year.
So second year of the coach you picked, right? That's your pick, right? You knew Wes was out that building. That's why you had BK on the bench with him, because you was like, hey, he next man up. Your time is limited, right? Ain't I tell you right now, if I was a coach and you brought in one of your boys to be my assistant head coach, I already know what it is. No wonder Wes didn't care. He knew his butt was gone anyway. Right. That's just like when you at work. Would you train your replacement?
Exactly.
I'm not training my replacement. Talking about write up some procedures. I don't think so. No. Anyways, no. So yeah, the point is, this year. Again, I don't have any expectations for him. I agree with you though. Jose, like what we're seeing, I'm not really feeling as much right now. But let him finish out the rest of the year. He'll have year 2 for sure. I'd be surprised. I'd be shocked if he got let go. That's basically the front office admitting they failed. I don't see that happening.
Right. Well, I agree. That was a great episode, fellas. Great talking. This is going to wrap up this episode of State of the Wizards. I want to thank DJ from Chocolate City Hoops Podcast. Make sure you check him out on YouTube. K. Jose, thank you for chopping it up with your boy again. And thank you for all the subscribers and the followers of State of the Wizards tuning in tonight. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.